Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're in. I'm over on the West Coast, so it's good morning. Some of you guys are joining us from the East Coast, so it's good afternoon. Either way, happy to have you here with us. Coach Kevin here, and we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Okay. And what I would like to do is point out for those of you who are brand new or maybe watching this as a recording, that we have a Facebook group that coincides with our meetup. It actually has the same name. I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. So the way you can find us and join us, which we would love to have you come join us, is to go into your Facebook account, go into wherever it says search Facebook for you, and start typing in, I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. And you'll find us, and then ask to be a member, and we'll be happy to have you. The other way that you can come find us is you could go directly to facebook.com/groups/ I want to be really rich, as if it's one word. Now, the reason that you would probably want to come join us in the Facebook group, few things. One, if we have any special announcements, we'll usually try and pin it to the top, anything that's relevant and important for you to know. The next thing we do is you can see right here, there is our recording from yesterday. And if you scroll down, the recording from the day before and so forth. And this is a place where you can interact with us outside of the 45 minutes or so that we have together each Monday through Friday. If you want to, ask some additional questions, get some clarification, myself or others that are members of the group can go ahead and help you out with that. The other thing you might want to do is if you attend a meeting, a Zoom meeting, and you really like it, this is where you can go find it and review it. Also, let's say that you are in the middle of, well, we're in the middle of studying material. Sometimes we have material that's one day, maybe it takes 2 days, 3 days. Sometimes we choose something that's going to take several days or a week or maybe even a couple weeks. Well, you can come back here if you end up starting in the middle, or if you end up missing a day. Let's say you can make it Monday, Tuesday, but Wednesday something comes up and you're there for Thursday and Friday, you can come back here and get caught up. All right. The next thing I want to share with you guys is what we are in the process of going through right now. Hopefully, there we go. It'll pop up here for us in a moment, and there it is. We are going through a book right now called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. Now, previous to this, what we were studying and going through were the laws that govern manifesting wealth and money in your life. A lot of you guys have heard of the law of attraction. However, that is actually a secondary or subsidiary law to what's called the law of vibration. What most people aren't aware of, maybe you are, but most people aren't, is there are actually 7 laws that work in conjunction with each other. Sometimes all of them are working at the same time. Sometimes several of them are, but there are actually 7 laws that govern you receiving wealth and money in your life, as well as many other things that you want to manifest. But if you want to manifest the most money and wealth that you possibly can, and you want to have it happen more easily than it's been happening for you, you want to understand how the laws of the universe that govern receiving wealth, wealth and money apply, so that you can actually apply them correctly. Okay. Well, what do I mean by that? If you don't know what a law is and you disobey it, it could hurt you. All right. For example, the law of gravity. If you're an infant or toddler and you climb up onto a chair and then you climb up onto the kitchen counter, let's say it's one of those big islands, and you go crawling across to the other side, and you don't know anything about the law of gravity and you haven't experienced anything yet, chances are you're going to crawl off the other end. Now, depending on how high up it is and what the material is down below, whether it be wood or tile or who knows, concrete or marble, and depending on what part of the baby hits first and how the baby lands, the baby is going to suffer consequences of that action, even though they're truly 100% innocent and didn't know any better. It doesn't matter. The laws of the universe are precise that way. And if you use them correctly, you can actually get what you want out of life, but you use them incorrectly, you will hurt yourself. Okay. So you need to understand that. We just got done going over that recently. And then the next thing that we want to understand is that we are programmed. we are either self-programmed or we're programmed by things outside of us, like our environment, the way we grew up, the way things our parents told us, the things our teachers told us, the friends we hung out with, the media we take in. Everything makes a difference, and it has been programming our subconscious mind to either help us and or hinder us in receiving what it is we truly want in life. So if you want more money and you want more wealth in your life and it's not showing up for you, and you've been trying and trying and trying, I absolutely promise you there's a program in opposition to what you want in your subconscious mind. And you need to go through a process of changing that program so that your subconscious mind cooperates with you instead of fights with you. When it fights with you, you will always lose in the long run, maybe even the short run too. But if you're fighting with your subconscious mind, you may not know that you're fighting with it, but you're trying to use your willpower to overcome your subconscious mind. Subconscious mind always wins. However, that's a good thing, because if your subconscious mind is programmed to help you receive what you want, what did we just say about your subconscious mind again? It always wins. So it's going to help you receive what it is you want out of life. So I've read this book 3 or 4 times. I have a Kindle copy. I have an Audible copy. However, I wanted to make it easy for you guys to get a copy of your own. So what I did is I just went to Google and typed in Power of Your Subconscious Mind PDF. And organically, the second search that came up for me, it could be different for you, but look for one that says The Power of Your Subconscious Mind - the Logos Center, or up top here, www.logoscenter.org. Not my website or anything. I'm not trying to promote it. I went through several, and I like this copy of it. Also, what was cool about it is when I clicked on it, what happened for me is it took me right here. Now, not to this page, not to page 117, but it took me right to the book. I didn't have to put in name, email, or anything like that. So what I went ahead and did is when it came up for me, I just went ahead and took download over here. At least that's how it showed up for me. And I downloaded it onto my computer. Now you can download it onto your phone, your tablet, your computer, whatever it is that you're working with to get into the Zoom meeting or study with us. But I recommend that you go ahead and get a copy of the book for yourself, download it. And if you're new with us, this will give you a chance to get caught up with us. And if you've been following along with us, then you know how it can be helpful in you learning more about how the law of attraction works and how your mind works in actually manifesting what you want. So here's how we're going to function for today and how we typically do. I am going to start reading where we left off. Oops, I just jumped a few pages. Let me get it back to where we were, which I don't remember exactly, but we'll find it. All right. Apologize for that. Just a little slip of the finger on the keyboard, but we'll get to where it was that we were. Okay, I know where we will be in just a moment here. We'll have it. Anyhow, what I'm going to do right now, did I go too far? No. Hang on, I do apologize. I think we were on. Boom. Hang on, sorry. Hey, can somebody come out?
We're on page 117.
Ah, I went way too far. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks so much. I apologize for that. Anyhow, human errors. I never said I was perfect. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to start reading, and then I will add commentary where I feel it could be helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, here's what we're going to do. We are going to leave about 10 to 15 minutes at the end for you to go ahead and ask those questions, and also to share your comments and opinions, feelings, thoughts, and whatnot. So you will definitely get your opportunity to interact and share. and I want to make sure that you have that opportunity. However, if you go into chat, just understand I don't pay any attention to it. Some of the people on here might, but I don't, because I leave you that time to interact with us and ask questions in a little while. All right, sip of water. And here we go. Your subconscious and the wonders of sleep. You spend about 8 out of every 24 hours, or 1/3 of your entire life, in sleep. This is an inexorable law of life. Sleep is a divine law, and many answers to our problems come to us when we are sound asleep. Many people have advocated the theory that you get tired during the day, that you go to sleep to rest the body, and that a repetitive or reparative process takes place while you sleep. This is a gross misunderstanding. Nothing rests in sleep. Your heart, lungs, and all your vital organs function while you are asleep. If you eat prior to sleep, the food is digested and assimilated. Your skin secretes perspiration. Your nails and hair continue to grow. In the same way, your subconscious mind never rests or sleeps. It is always active, controlling all your vital forces. The healing process takes place more rapidly while you are asleep, because there's no interference from your conscious mind. Remarkable results are given to you while you are asleep. Why we sleep. One of the earliest scientific researchers to carry out serious investigations into sleep was Dr. John Bigelow. He was able to show that at night, while asleep, you receive constant impressions through the sensory nerves connected to the eyes, ears, nose, and subcutaneous nerves. The neural network of the brain is also quite active. Dr. Bigelow's research led him to a conclusion that is closely aligned with the information presented in this book. He said that the main reason we sleep is in order that the nobler part of the soul is united by abstraction to our higher nature and becomes a participant in the wisdom and foreknowledge of the gods. Prayer, a form of sleep. Throughout the day, your conscious mind gets involved with vexations, strife, and contentions. It needs to be able to withdraw periodically from sense evidence and the objective world and commune silently with the inner wisdom of your subconscious mind. By claiming guidance, strength, and greater intelligence in all phases of your life, you will be enabled to overcome all difficulties and solve your daily problems. The regular withdrawal from sense evidence and the noise and confusion of everyday living is also a form of sleep. That is, you become asleep to the world of the senses and alive to the wisdom and power of your subconscious mind. Start long effects of sleep deprivation. Lack of sleep can cause you to become irritable, moody, and depressed. All human beings need a minimum of 6 hours sleep to be healthy. Now, by the way, this isn't really something we're going to debate about. I have a feeling the reason Joseph Murphy is saying that is it's not just about our physicalness, but it's also about our mental clarity and, about our mindset. I know people that sleep less than that and feel they're just fine. And I know people that sleep more than that and they're just fine. Here's what I would say is commentary. The more you can connect with God and the universe, the better off you're going to be. It's not strictly about how long your body needs to repair itself. And the more frequently you're able to do that, doesn't mean just sleep 24/7. Okay, that's not what I mean. But if you can take time through prayer or through a short nap, meditation, somewhere in the middle of the day, that's going to be helpful too. Again, partly for the body, but mostly for reconnecting with God. Okay, we're always connected, but to feel it more powerfully and get that uplift and to get those answers that we're seeking. Those who think they can get along on less are fooling themselves. Medical researchers who have investigated sleep processes and the deprivation of sleep point out that severe insomnia has preceded psychotic breakdown in some instances. Remember, you're spiritually recharged during sleep. Adequate sleep is essential to produce joy and vitality in life. You need more sleep. One way to find out why we need sleep is to look at what happens when we do not get it. In 1964, a 17-year-old boy named Randy Gardner set out to win a place in the Guinness Book of World Records. He kept himself awake for 264 hours, 11 straight days. Later tests showed that he suffered no permanent damage. However, during the time he was keeping himself awake, his thinking processes deteriorated. His speech became slurred. He suffered from memory lapses. In the later hours, he started to experience hallucinations. Most people who are chronically short on sleep do not go to such extremes. However, they too may suffer from serious effects. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, as many as 200,000 traffic accidents a year related to sleep problems. One driver in 5 has at least occasionally dozed off at the wheel. As a result, drivers are 5 to 10 times more likely to have an accident late at night than during the daytime. Experiments with volunteers have shown that a tired brain craves sleep so hungrily that it will sacrifice anything to get it. After only a few hours of sleep loss, subjects start experiencing fleeting naps called lapses or microsleep. These happen 3 or 4 times an hour. During them, just as in real sleep, the person's eyelids close and his or her brain waves become slower. At first, each of these lapses lasts just a fraction of a second. But as hours of sleep loss mount, the lapses take place more often and last longer, for as much as 2 or 3 seconds. Even if the subject has been piloting an airliner in a thunderstorm, they still couldn't have resisted microsleeps for those few priceless seconds. Sleep brings counsel. Sandra F. is a young woman in Los Angeles who has often listened to my radio talks. She told me that she had been offered a position in New York City at twice her present salary. She could not decide whether or not to accept the new job. Before going to sleep, she prayed in these words: "The creative intelligence of my subconscious mind knows what is best for me. Its tendency is always lifeward, and it reveals to me the right decision, which blesses me and all concerned. I give thanks for the answer that I know will come to me." She repeated this simple prayer over and over as a lullaby as she drifted to sleep. In the morning, she had a persistent feeling that she should not accept the offer. She rejected it. Later events verified her inward sense of knowing. A few months after the job offer, the company went bankrupt. The conscious mind may be correct on the objectively known facts. However, it was the intuitive faculty of the subconscious mind that realized the problems with the company and prompted her accordingly. Saved from certain disaster. The wisdom of your subconscious mind can instruct you and protect you if you pray for the right action as you go to sleep. Many years ago, I was offered a lucrative assignment in the Far East. I prayed for guidance and the right decision as follows: infinite intelligence within me knows all things. The right decision is revealed to me in divine order. I will recognize the answer when it comes. I repeated this simple prayer over and over as a lullaby prior to going to sleep. That night, an old friend came to me. He held out a newspaper and said, "Read these headlines. Do not go." The headlines of the newspaper trumpeted stories of violence, unrest, and war, all of which occurred not long after in the area where I had been asked to go. Your subconscious mind is all wise. It knows all things. And here's what I would actually say as commentary on that. Your subconscious mind is what connects you with God. God is all wise and knows all things. And through your subconscious mind, he gives you the promptings, the inspiration, revelation, and intuition. It knows all things. Often it will speak to you, but in a voice that your conscious mind will immediately accept. In the dream I just related, which doubtless saved me from putting myself in a situation of grave danger, my subconscious mind projected its warning in the guise of a person whom I trusted and respected. To some, a warning may come in the form of a mother who appears in a dream. She tells the person not to go here or there, and the reason for the warning. Sometimes your subconscious will warn you in your waking hours. You think you hear a voice that sounds like that of your mother or some loved one. You stop and turn, looking for its source. Later, you find that if you had gone on the way you were going, you might have been stuck or struck on the head by an object falling from a window. Your future is in your subconscious mind. Remember that because your future is the result of your habitual thinking, it is always in your mind unless you change it through prayer. Let me repeat that. Remember that because your future is the result of your habitual thinking, it is already in your mind unless you change it through prayer. In the same way, the future of a country is in the collective subconscious of the people of that nation. There is nothing strange in the dream I had wherein I saw the headlines of those newspapers long before the events they spoke of. Those events had already taken place in the minds of those who would bring them about. All their plans were already engraved on the great recording instrument, the collective subconscious of the universal mind. Tomorrow's events are in your subconscious mind. So are next week's and next month's. They may be perceived by a highly psychic or clairvoyant person. No disaster or tragedy can happen to you if you decide to pray. Nothing is predetermined or foreordained. Your mental attitude, the way you think, feel, and believe, determines your destiny. You can, through scientific prayer, mold, fashion, and create your own future. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. A catnap nets him $15,000. Years ago, one of my students mailed me a newspaper clipping about a man named Roy Hammerstrom, who worked as a roller in a Pittsburgh steel mill. The mill had recently installed a new machine that controlled the delivery of newly forged steel bars to what were called cooling beds. Despite the best efforts of the installers, the machine could not be made to work properly. Engineers worked on it for several days, but to no avail. Hammerstrom thought a lot about the problem. He tried to figure out a new design that might work. Nothing came to him. One afternoon, he lay down for a nap. As he fell asleep, he thought about the switch problem. During his nap, he had a dream in which he saw a perfect design for the faulty switch. When he awoke, he sketched his new design according to the outline of his dream. This visionary catnap won Hammerstein a check for $15,000, the largest award the firm had ever given an employee for a new idea. How a professor solved his problem in sleep. Dr. H.V. Helprecht was an eminent professor of Assyrian at the University of Pennsylvania. In his memoirs, he recounted an amazing experience. One Saturday evening, I'd been weary myself in the vain attempt to decipher two small fragments of agate, which were supposed to belong to the finger rings of some Babylonians. About midnight, weary and exhausted, I went to bed and dreamed the following remarkable dream. A tall, thin priest of Nippur, about 40 years of age, led me to the treasure chamber of the temple, a small, low-ceilinged room without windows. While scraps of agate and, I'm not even sure how to say this, lapis lazuli lay scattered on the floor. Here he addressed me as follows. The two fragments which you have published separately on pages 22 and 26 belong together, are not finger rings. The first two rings served as earrings for the statue of the god. The two fragments you have are portions of them. If you will put them together, you will have confirmation of my words. I awoke at once. I examined the fragments, and to my astonishment, found the dream verified. The problem was then at last solved. This demonstrates clearly the creative manifestation of his subconscious mind, which knew the answer to all his problems. How the subconscious worked for a famous writer while he slept. In one of his books, Across the Plains, Robert Louis Stevenson devotes a whole chapter to the topic of dreams. He was a vivid dreamer. It was his persistent habit to give specific instructions to his subconscious every night prior to sleep. He would request his subconscious to evolve stories for him while he slept. For example, if his bank account was low, His command to his subconscious would be something like this: give me a good thrilling novel that will be marketable and profitable. His subconscious responded magnificently. Stevenson recounts, these little brownies, the intelligences and powers of his subconscious, can tell me a story piece by piece, like a serial, and keep me, its supposed creator, all the while in total ignorance of where they aim. That part of my work, which is done when I am up and about while he is consciously aware and awake, is by no means necessarily mine, since all goes to show that the brownies have a hand in it even then. Sleep in peace and wake in joy. If you suffer from insomnia, you will find the following prayer very effective. Repeat it slowly, quietly, and lovingly prior to sleep. My toes are relaxed. My ankles are relaxed. My abdominal muscles are relaxed. My heart and lungs are relaxed. My hands and arms are relaxed. My neck is relaxed. My brain is relaxed. My face is relaxed. My eyes are relaxed. My whole mind and body are relaxed. I fully and freely forgive everyone. And I sincerely wish for them harmony, health, peace, and all the blessings of life. I am at peace. I am poised, serene, and calm. I rest in security and in peace. A great stillness steals over me, and a great calm quiets my whole being as I realize the divine presence within me. I know that the realization of life and love heals me. I wrap myself in the mantle of love and fall asleep with goodwill for all. Throughout the night, peace remains with me, and in the morning, I shall be filled with life and love. A circle of love is drawn around me. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. I sleep in peace, I awake in joy, and in him I live, move, and have my being. Summary of your aids to the wonders of sleep. If you're worried that you will not wake up on time, suggest to your subconscious mind prior to sleep the exact time you wish to arise, and it will awaken you. It needs no clock. Do the same thing with all problems. There is nothing too hard for your subconscious. Your subconscious never sleeps. It is always on the job. It controls all your vital functions. Forgive yourself and everyone else before you go to sleep, and healing will take place much more rapidly. Guidance is given while you are asleep, sometimes in a dream. The healing currents are also released, and in the morning you feel refreshed and rejuvenated. When troubled by vexations and strife of the day, till the wheels of your mind and think, I think it's still the wheels, missed the S there. Still the wheels of your mind and think about the wisdom and intelligence lodged in your subconscious mind, which is ready to respond to you. This will give you peace, strength, and confidence. Sleep is essential for peace of mind and health of body. Lack of sleep can cause irritation, depression, and mental disorders. You need 8 hours sleep. Medical research scholars point out that insomnia sometimes precedes psychotic breakdowns. You are spiritually recharged during sleep. Adequate sleep is essential for joy and vitality in life. Your tired brain craves sleep so hungrily that it will sacrifice anything to get it. Many who have fallen asleep at the wheel of an automobile can testify to this. Many sleep-deprived people have poor memories and lack proper coordination. They become befuddled, confused, and disoriented. Sleep brings counsel. Prior to sleep, claim that the infinite intelligence of your subconscious mind is guiding and directing you. Then watch for the lead that comes, perhaps on awakening. Trust your subconscious completely. Know that its tendency is always lifeward. Occasionally, your subconscious answers you in a very vivid dream and a vision in the night. You can be forewarned in a dream in the same way as the author of this book was warned. Your future is in your mind now, based on your habitual thinking and beliefs. Claim infinite intelligence leads and guides you, and that all good is yours, and your future will be wonderful. Believe it and accept it. Expect the best, and invariably the best will come to you. I'm going to repeat this one. Your future is in your mind now, based on your habitual thinking and beliefs. Your future is in your mind now, based on your habitual thinking and beliefs. Claim infinite intelligence leads and guides you, and that all good is yours, and your future will be wonderful. Believe it and accept it. Expect the best, and invariably the best will come to you. If you're writing a novel, play, or book, or are working on an invention, speak to your subconscious mind at night and claim boldly that its wisdom, intelligence, and power are guiding, directing, and revealing to you the ideal play, novel, book, or are revealing the perfect solution, whatever it may be. Wonders will happen as you pray this way. Okay. We will stop here and pick back up tomorrow where we're at page 124. So I'm going to come out of screen share now, and good to see all of you guys who have joined, guys and gals. Okay. Good to see everyone who joined us since we got started. Glad to have you here with us. I don't know if we have anybody that's brand new with us today, but I'll just real quickly. So now is your time to ask questions. Those would be questions related to what it is that we studied today, what we've been studying in the past, and or questions related to manifesting more money and wealth in your life. The other thing is that you can go ahead and share. What would you share? If you've had successes with manifesting what it is that you want in your life, you could share those experiences with us. That would be awesome. If there's some things that struck you as we were studying today, that would be something great to share, or something that we've studied in the past, or something that we've shared and said, hey, you know, maybe you've gone deeper into it and it's helped wake you up. The other things that you can, you know, share are experiences that you're aware of that people that you're close to have had too, related to law of attraction. So go ahead, and what you do is just come off mute and start sharing or asking your question. And if two of you do it at the same time, we'll try and figure out who started first, and then the next person will go next. But go ahead, this is your time.
Hi, Kevin. It's Francine.
Hi, Francine.
I have a question.
Okay.
So I got the book, I'm Rich Beyond My Wildest Dreams. I am. It just came in yesterday.
Okay.
I opened it up to a page that says, second law of prosperity, never, never, never ask for money. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second here. This is not in line with what I'm doing with Kevin and in our group. And I'm like, and it's not in line with the other book that I'm reading either, where it had me write a check for the amount that I wanted to have from the universe. And so I need to ask you, is this all self, you know, why am I reading this? You know, why is this person saying that?
Well, first of all, were you the one I told specifically to go read that? That was Takira, right?
No, you said, yeah, you said it to somebody.
Yeah. And that's why
yeah.
I said you guys are listening. Because Takira, by focusing specifically on, if you focus specifically on a dollar amount, that actually doesn't mean a lot to most people. You may be like, well, yeah, it does. And let me explain this. And this is what the author of that book is trying to say is, look, God doesn't actually have a personal use for money. He can provide you anything you want. What you need to do is tell God what you want. He actually goes later in the book and talks about asking for an income as a means of support to live the life you want to live. So
is that why, is that why when in the other book that I'm reading, in the 28-day exercises that I'm doing, it has a gratitude check and from the universe, the gratitude bank of the universe. And it not only has you write an amount, but it tells you to write specifically what you want it for.
Exactly.
Okay, that explains.
Okay, cool.
I'm like, okay, I don't need to be more confused at this point.
No, yeah. Yeah, no, I could see how, especially if you just opened it up and bomb, that was the name of one of the first chapters, right?
Yeah,
But
well, yeah,
and I wish authors would do things a little differently when they do things like that, because like I said, he goes further into the book and he talks about the means of support and he talks about what it is that you want. And sometimes it's going to be money that covers it. But what I keep sharing with everybody is this: you're better off visualizing what it is that you want as if you've already received it, whatever it is you want to be, do, or have.
right,
And then let God decide how he provides it to you.
right.
Because if we say strictly money, then we actually close off some of the channels. If it only is going to be money for us, or if it's only going to be through a certain business or whatnot. So thanks for asking the question. I'm glad that you do ask questions, Francine, because that's the only way you're going to get clarification. Some people just read something and they go, oh, and then they, you know,
Yeah,
and
I'm
you
always full
you
of
will find,
questions.
yeah, and that's why when I talked briefly about coaching the other day, I just said, look, go with whoever resonates with you when you ask someone for help. God will lead you to the right person and the right information, as long as you're in alignment and you're doing things in a way that you're happy and feeling good. God will take you to the right place.
And you know, I have experience in my life that whenever funds were getting low, you know, I was a single mom
Hmm.
and I ran a couple of businesses plus a part-time job. But anyway, so
Lots of,
whenever funds would get low, yeah, I worked hard. So somehow I didn't worry so much because every time funds would get low, there would be something that would come in the mail, you know, a check in the mail that I did not expect, or something would happen that, so I always believed that. Um, and only at a certain point, I started having some fears.
hmm.
And then, you know, as you get older, I guess it goes with that department. And
You mean we get
so
more scared the older we get?
yeah, you're like, man, am I going to have enough money to live as long as I want to live and do all the things I want to do, you know?
Yeah, and
So,
that's just society's programming, but okay.
so now I want to make sure that I have a lot more so I can no longer worry about this, you know?
You know what will give you the very most peace of mind about all of this? And this goes for me too, because I've gone through similar to what you're talking about in a lot of those feelings. Once you really get the hang of this, you don't worry anymore. I mean, like I said the other day, you might set a big goal for yourself that you don't know how to do it. So that's going to give you those feelings. But, and when I say it's not too big for God, and it's not, he doesn't decide big or small, it's all just the same for him. But for the most part, when you've learned how to reprogram yourself, you've learned how to work with the laws instead of against them. You're way more aware of what's going on, and you're choosing the life that you want, and you're choosing to receive what it is you really want. Once you know that process, the fear of all these things that we think about, it goes away, because I could be down to zero in my bank account and I could need to come up with 30, $40,000 within the next 48, 72 hours. And I can do it. I,
Okay, so here's where I am today.
okay,
Um, my son lives in France
cool.
and
I lived
in
there
the
for a
French
while.
in the French Alps. And because we're all entitled to our French citizenship, so he took advantage of it.
Awesome.
And him and I found a property that we want to buy together.
Okay.
I won't go into any details, but you know, we found that together last March when I was visiting.
Okay.
And the problem is that the banks will not lend to an American citizen. There's no problem for him, but for me, does not
Okay.
matter whether I qualify, and I sure do qualify for my part. The Americans, the business of the Americans just is not wanted anywhere
Okay.
unless you pay cash, you know.
Okay. Okay.
So I've been asking the universe for cash so I can buy that
Thankfully,
property.
no, and you're doing it wrong.
Okay.
You should ask the universe for the property or something better.
Okay, well, we've been under contract since last summer
Well,
and
that's cool that they've let you stay under contract.
yeah, because of COVID and the
Yeah,
banks are very, very slow. Everything's much slower
yeah,
in France than it is here anyway, to start with.
yeah, I
So it takes a normal time to buy property in France is at least 4 or 5 months
know. Okay,
if you're going about borrowing money for it.
okay, okay,
And if you're not, it probably takes at least 2 or 3 months. But anyway,
okay.
so I need to go about it a different way.
Well, you just said there's a lot of things you just told me about this deal. You said unless you pay cash. Well, why do you need to get a bank loan in France instead of getting money from somewhere else?
Well, I've been asking for cash,
No,
but
no,
we
I,
have only
I
until the
get
end
it.
of January.
No, I get it. I get it. But again, what you should, the way that you will come up with the correct answers, and this will all smooth out for you. And you're going to go through because this is new for you, which is cool. You've manifested some cool things in your life. I get that. And you've had successes, but you're going through something right now that you don't know the answer to. You want something, but you don't know how to get it just yet. You know what people have told you, right? You can and can't, you can and can't, can and can't, which is a bunch of baloney for the most part. But that's what we buy into. If Bob Proctor were coaching me and I wanted that house, what he would tell me is, Kevin, look, you want that house or not? Yes, I want that house. Great. Then what you need to do is live in that house right now and enjoy that house right now as much as you can in your imagination. And you don't feel it as if it's in the future, and you don't think about the process that you have to go through to receive that house.
And I have been doing that.
I know you have. That's why you're stuck. Okay.
I'm stuck.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's why you're stuck. All right. But if you do what I talked about, it will work. It will work, but you have to do it every time a doubt comes to you. That's why you have your visualization in the morning and at night, and try and do it a few other times during the day as much as you can. Okay. But by writing it down, having the visualization, what happens is even if you can't meditate in the middle of the day, you can read whatever it is that you want quickly, and it will bring back the feelings of what you've been visualizing. So what you do is you counteract the negative, you counteract the doubts with the positive of what it is that you want. And the more you do that, the stronger it becomes. What happens then is your subconscious mind goes, got it. This is Francine's house. This is
Okay.
Francine's house, not somebody. This is Francine's house. And then your subconscious mind says, look, universe, energy, we've got to bring this to Francine now because it's hers. It's what's normal for her. She already lives there. It belongs to her. And so at that point, God goes, now you did it, Francine, good for you. Now let me give you some direction. And he will give you direction or other people direction that will help you move to receive what it is that you want. The reason I say this or something better, though, is because if God has a better place for you that you would like even more, you may not think, no, it's only this one. Then what you're also doing is you're being competitive again in your mindset. Hey, there couldn't be anything better than this ever. I mean, God can't provide. If it's not this, then it's this or nothing. No, it's
Right.
this or something better.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
So if I recap properly, is I don't worry about the financing of it at all. I
Not
just
until you're
confuse- I
guided
just-
in, yeah, not until you're guided on how to do it, because somebody out there is going to, and again, I don't know how it's going to show up, okay? Because
Right.
I'm not God. I don't know how he's going to arrange it, right? But somebody out there, as long as that house becomes yours and the seller wants to sell it, and it's meant to be yours because you chose it, and there's not something else that's better. In other words, there's not something where you go, oh crap, I wish I would have taken that. I should have got this instead, right? Then God will supply the people, and everybody that's involved in this transaction will be happy to do the parts that they're doing. and it'll become more smooth. It'll feel more effortless. It'll feel lighter. It'll feel more enjoyed. So what you need to do is live in that house. You need to, and if it's a vacation home, that's fine. Then you go on vacation in your mind and you go do in that house what you would be doing as if it was already your house.
I
Decorate.
have been doing that.
Okay.
I've been doing that. Yeah. I've been doing that since we wrote the accepted, actually, since last summer. I just need to get out of thinking about the financial part of it and how to get it and say, okay, it's this one or better, and let it go. Right?
Until you get some inspiration or intuition of the next step.
Okay. All right.
And then you still do it, right? You know, oh, I got my step, now I stop visualizing. No, continue to do
No.
that to reinforce it, but go take whatever that step is. There's a zillion ways that the money, and I don't even know what it costs. It doesn't really matter. There's so many ways that thing can be paid for that don't necessarily mean that you personally have to come up with the cash or something. There's people that could lend you money. There's people that could gift you money. There's ways that maybe the owner changes their mind and they're willing to actually owner finance the place to you. I don't know if you discussed that or
No,
not.
they can't. Yeah, we've discussed it. They can't do it. It's a inheritance, and they all want their money, and there's a small mortgage on it that needs to be paid off too. So
How many?
they all want the money to move on.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's really not much else in that area. We have been looking for a few years. So
Yeah.
I will just continue living in it, and this would be a secondary home,
Mhm.
and I would rent it out when I'm not using it. So anyway, so I'll continue your advice and not think about the financial part of it until I'm enlightened.
Yeah. What are interest rates over there if you were able to get a loan?
1%.
Okay.
I'm
So,
sorry, I have a piano tuner here. I hope you're not hearing that.
no, I didn't hear it. Well, I couldn't anyhow.
It's 1%, and I've talked to several lenders
Mhm.
that there's actually people over there that will, for a fee, try to find you a bank or a lender that will lend you the money. But even private lenders don't even want to lend to American citizens anymore. It changed in the course of the last 3 or 4 years. So
Yeah,
before that, no problem.
yeah, I personally, the feeling I get about it, but it's just me. It may not be the way you do it, but I don't think it's going to come from somebody in France. I think the
Okay.
money will be available, or the decision to sell you the house, somebody will come up, but I think it's going to come from somewhere else.
Okay.
Could
All
be
right.
wrong.
I'll have the down payment. I just need the rest.
Could be wrong, but there's a lot of things that can happen. What is your, I know it doesn't work the same, but when's your close of escrow?
Well, basically, we are contingent upon financing until the end of January, and then we have to close in February.
Okay.
We already have had an extension, and the seller does not want to extend anymore because he's getting a lot of
Offers.
calls from. It's not listed right now with any realtors, so he's getting a lot of calls from realtors and from buyers, and he's just not going to extend anymore.
Okay. Okay. Well, then expect a miracle. That's pretty cool. The more it looks like the way it does right now, the closer you are to a miracle actually happening.
Well, thank you. I will definitely update you when it happens.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Totally.
Hey, Kevin, so I had a question real quick.
Hey, Landon.
Hey, what's up, man? So my question is kind of something that seems contradictory. So I'm trying to live in a house, like a 6-bedroom house on a country club, like right on the golf course. That's kind of like my dream. I want to drive
that's your dream. Okay.
Right. That's where I want to be. I don't want to, drive my golf cart to the club and enjoy it and all that. And my issue is, so I can visualize it and live in it now in my mind. But then there's also been things that have been said where we need to write down a date. So those are like contradicting each
No,
other.
no,
It's like,
it's you. I don't write down a date for everything. Maybe let's clarify this. But let's say, like in her instance for Francine, right? There's a quote, well, and it could change because the owner could change their mind again. Owner could do whatever. But as of right now, she's got to have this thing closed by the end of February. She's got to come up with the money before the end of January, and then it'll close before the end of February, right? So there's a date that something needs to happen by. Therefore, choosing that as your date to have it happen by is there's a pretty good chance there that that's the date it's going to be, and it'll come right then, or it might even come like a day later, but it'll still work because, okay, I've had that happen where I'm like, oh, it's going to happen now, or else the world's going to fall apart. And once I chilled out and forgot about that and said, nah, you know what, and I let it go. A lot of times, if it took one extra day for the money to show up or whatever it was, it really didn't wreck anything. It was all in my mind that was causing havoc until I let go of it. So you can put dates on the house, but part of putting the date on that too is write down what you want and start visualizing what it is and feeling it. And as you get closer, more belief in it, it'll actually be easier to project a date. You won't know the exact date probably. It sometimes happens exactly. Yeah, but usually it's within a range, just like a baby being born. Okay.
right.
The thing is, if it's something you've never done before, like, if you never had a 6-bedroom house, and let's say this thing is 3 times the amount of money you paid on your last house or whatever it is, right? So it's something totally new to you. Just enjoy the feeling right now of living in the house, is because it looks like right now you got a place to live.
Yeah, it's an apartment though.
Yeah, I totally get it. Totally get it. But what a lot of people do is they create stress through a date. Bob Proctor says when he hits his goals, he rarely hits them on the date. He rarely does. Sometimes he hits them quite a bit early. Sometimes he hits them within a short range. Okay. The other thing that happens is sometimes he's way off and he resets it and it takes him another year. But he doesn't worry about it. He doesn't use it as a stressor for himself. He uses it as motivation to stay focused, but he doesn't look at it as the end of the world if it doesn't happen on a certain date, unless it is something that would be life-threatening, which for him is pretty much nothing, right?
Right.
So I would say for now, you want this. How long are you giving yourself right now? Like if you were to throw a date out there right now, what would you choose?
Probably January of next year. That's when my lease is up.
Okay. So set that for a date for now, unless you feel compelled to change it. Don't change it out of fear. Okay. But unless you feel guided to change that date, just put it out there. But in your brain, you already have a place until your lease isn't up for a year. So you might find something right now. If you were to find something right now, what would you do with your apartment? Is it?
I try to get somebody to take it over. And then because you can't just get out of the contract unless you paid so much amount. So I'd try to, put out an ad and be like, all right, hey, can somebody come and take over my payments, move in? So
Yeah.
that's what I would do.
So picture what you want, live in it right now. And then if it could happen sooner than next January, would you like it to happen sooner? Do you want it to be then?
I'm okay either way. I just moved to Portland, so I'm trying to wait for everything to open back up so I can explore it a little bit before moving out of town. So
Okay. All right.
I'm okay with it being next year.
Okay. Because what I was saying is, hey, as soon as you're ready to deliver it, I'm ready to receive it. I know you'll provide the way for everything to be smooth.
Okay.
If you're ready to deliver it right now, I'm totally happy to receive it right now. In other words, if God can give you something now, don't push it away either because of a date.
Right. No, a couple more months. Right.
Right?
Okay, cool. Thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments for today?
I have a question. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
I can. Is your name Sunshine?
That's my pen name. So my
Okay,
performing arts name. I do performing arts, and I'm gonna
awesome.
keep it brief,
Okay,
because there was a lot going on, and it was so funny. Last night I was like, I'm gonna ask some questions because I'm not gonna be here in the same place 3 months from now.
awesome, awesome.
So I have a voiceover business that I was trying to build.
Okay,
And it kind of got halted. But I also have like a regular job as well, a full-time job. So
okay,
I had to pause my voiceover business because I don't know if you can hear it, but my voice is like having some raspy issues, and now I'll have to go to have a procedure and all this other stuff. But I at least
okay,
checked, and I don't have any polyps or nodes on my vocal
okay,
cords. So I was like, great, cool.
okay,
Um, in my regular job, my current position, I don't necessarily love it. And
okay,
I've been trying to manifest the position is called a Scrum Master job or an
okay,
Agile Coach job. Um, and I've the first time I didn't get to apply because I reached out to the talent acquisition partner and he said, "Oh, they already filled the role." I did recently apply, and I did like a lot of the things that you said. I put my name. I like made a what do you call that thing? A signature
uh-huh,
for me to be a senior scrum master.
okay,
I've been using the VYBO to visualize.
okay,
I listened to the first book because I wasn't here when you guys started. So I
okay,
listened to the first book on VYBO as well.
awesome.
Um, and my goal since I started, I think it all came and manifested from a prayer because I kept saying, I keep doing performing arts and I'm not making any money. I was like, so I need to find something that's going to make me money. And then I fell into voiceover. But now, as I've been trying to build my business, which is going to be on pause until possibly mid-year,
Yeah,
which I'm really sad about. But I have to take care of some things and get a
yeah,
regular, I mean, I have to get a regular job to sustain myself until I can grow it into something that's six figures. I don't, I mean, unless there's a super miracle, don't think I can open it up and be like, yes, making six figures. Kind of doesn't work that
right.
way.
Okay, so if, and obviously, if I was your coach and I had a lot of time one-on-one with you, we'd go deeper with this. But let me do this with you right now. Forget a moment. This is where everybody really needs to start, but this is where everybody fights it. Okay. Regardless of your business, regardless of your job, regardless of any of this stuff that's been going on, let's just start from the very beginning. Okay. What you want to decide is what your life and your lifestyle is going to be like. That's what you need to do, is the life that you want to live. You need to decide what that is, first of all. You don't need to decide a profession necessarily.
Got it.
All right. I mean, you have talent, skills, abilities, and God knows that.
Hmm.
He knows who you are. He knows how you're made. He knows what you like doing even. Okay.
Hmm.
However, you've got to give him something to work with. And what he wants to hear from you is, look, however you would speak to God or pray or whatever, look, Heavenly Father, I know that I'm meant to do more and be more and have more than I have been able to accomplish so far in my life. I love performing. I love doing these different things. I
Hmm.
enjoy doing those things. I would ask thee to help me be compensated, very well for doing something that I love doing,
Okay.
and help me know what that is. But what will help that actually happen is you have to see yourself living the life that you want to live as if it's already happening. So if it's a different house, you need to be in that house. If it's a different car, you need to drive that car. If it's a different neighborhood, you need to be in a different neighborhood. If it's, a different city, state, or whatever it is that you really want, that's the starting point where you should be. And then let yourself be guided. And then when you do get around to having your surgery, by the way, I mean, we've already been reading some of this, and I know you've been with us for a while.
Hmm.
You want to see the outcome of that surgery being positive, like either that, or you can go for one or two things. I don't know when your surgery's scheduled or if you've even done that.
Next week.
Next week. Okay, so you are having it. So
Mhm.
let's just leave it that way. Okay. But pray for the surgeon and whoever else is working to be guided and directed to do exactly the right thing so that you get the outcome that you want. But what you visualize is yourself coming out of this actually as good or better than you were before you went into it.
Got it.
Cool.
Yeah, because right now it's not looking good. I've had to now go to speech therapy. So it should end up costing me more money at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there was some fear somewhere around you losing your voice.
Yeah.
There was. It could have been years ago where it got triggered originally, or it could have been whatever, right? But there was some fear of losing your voice, not being able to perform, and or not being able to provide for yourself.
There is.
Yeah,
There is.
yeah. So that's what that's what's come up in you, because what happens is those thoughts and feelings at a subconscious level start screwing around with our body.
Got it.
Yeah. So you just need to come back into equilibrium with that, and those things will start healing. And using a doctor to receive healing and to get extra help is not a bad idea necessarily. Okay. Especially when it's a week away. I'm not saying you couldn't, but it becomes a faith thing. There are different things you could do. Have you watched the movie The Secret?
Yes, I've watched the movie The Secret. I've done my 300 list. I
Awesome.
watched the VYBO.
Okay.
I
You're doing
do
all of
the
it.
wealth success new job,
Okay.
and let those feelings resonate with me
Awesome.
multiple times a day.
Awesome. In the movie, that's awesome. In the movie, The Secret, there was the gal who had breast cancer. You remember that?
Hmm.
And she did two things. I'm not saying this is specific for you, but maybe this could be, especially since, performing and whatnot is what you like. She repeated to herself over and over and over for days, "Thank you for my healing." The other thing she chose to do was to laugh a lot. If you go back to that part of the movie, The Secret, she's like,
remember.
I couldn't let anything negative in. And so she watched old movies like Charlie Chaplin or whatever it was that she liked, right? But she spent her time knowing that she didn't want outside influences to change her mindset, that she wanted to stay on the mindset of healing. So the two things that she felt led to do and guided to do was to say, "Thank you for my healing," over and over and over again. And the other thing was to spend as much time watching funny movies as she could.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome. Appreciate all of you guys too. And I appreciate that you could repeat back to me some of the things I asked you guys to do.
No problem.
That's awesome.
Hey, what was that VYBO thing? That's the first time I've heard of it.
No, that's BYOB. I'm just kidding. VYBO is a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Go check it out. There's a lot of videos that have been made. Some of them are a book being read, and there's pictures in the background. Some of them it's repetition of affirmations with pictures, but essentially it's it displays, it looks a little bit commercialized in the sense of like, it's not really showing people that you might see in your real life, but it's essentially showing lifestyle of millionaires and billionaires.
Great. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey,
How are you?
terrific. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Just had a quick question.
Okay.
So I started to make my 300 list, and I was
Uh-huh.
just wondering, do I have to have 300? I mean, I haven't really tried to.
How many do you have?
I mean, I think I probably have maybe 100.
Yeah. Here's why. Here's why you do the 300 list, because your subconscious mind doesn't want to do the 300 list.
Okay.
No, I'm totally serious. We're not, and by the way, when I first did it, remember, here's what I like about what Steve Harvey said. Steve Harvey was given that advice by people that were more successful than him when he was already successful. And he couldn't get to 300 in one sitting. But he did it anyway, not in one sitting, but he did it. But I don't think he drug it out over months and months either. Okay. But once he did, the cool thing that happens is anything that you put on there, once you repeat it back to yourself and you live it and you feel good about it in your mind, sometimes we go back to the laws when we were talking about hidden treasures. I think you were with us then. Some of the seeds that you plant don't need a lot to grow because your subconscious mind's not in opposition. Okay. So if your subconscious isn't in opposition and you're able to take that thing as you're writing it down and you feel it and you visualize it, as you're writing these things down, you should feel it and visualize it a bit too. Okay. Take it at least a moment. It's almost like, okay, let's dig a little hole with a little scooper and put a seed in there. Pour a little water on it and you're done. Right? Do that for everyone in your mind. Just think of each one of these as a seed you're planting. Some of these seeds don't need a bunch of nourishment, again, because everything that's needed is already there and your subconscious mind's not in opposition. So the subconscious mind goes, oh, okay, I'll go help this happen. That is actually how I was given that BMW. That is also how I was given the opportunity to fly on a private plane. They weren't things that I actually had put down that I was striving for and trying to figure out how to get or anything like that. They were seeds that I planted that for some reason my subconscious mind accepted it. The plane ride came really fast. The car came a couple years later. But I put no effort after writing it down and reading through it a few different times and having it, kind of out there. I didn't put more effort into it than that. If you don't write it down, you're not going to probably get it. So that would be another reason. But 300 things are going to be a stretch for most people. But if you choose not to do it, then you're not exercising that part of your subconscious. You're not your subconscious is giving you pushback because of your programming. Even like I said, Steve Harvey got pushback. When I did it, I already understood a lot of what I'm sharing with you guys. And I got to when I first sat down, 177. I know it was just under 180. Okay. Then I'm like, whew, 300, huh? But I had committed to myself to do the exercise. So it took me 5 more days to finish. But I finished. I finally set a date where I'm like, okay, I'm going to finish by this time. And I thought, okay, I've pretty much done, what I think I want. So what can I do now? And I'm like, well, let's take it to the ridiculous. And not that it is ridiculous. It actually can happen. But I'm like, well, if there are things I want to do, why don't I do them to the extreme? For instance, one of the things I wrote down, and by the way, it has not happened for me yet. Okay. So, but it'll happen at some point, is I wrote down that I'm at the NBA finals because I've been given tickets to sit behind the bench of a team that's in the NBA finals. And the tickets were given to me by one of the top players on the team. I don't know any NBA players other than the way everybody does, you know, TV, news, whatever. I don't have a relationship with anybody like that. But see, the way I normally would have put it is, yeah, I'd like season tickets to such and such. But the reason I put down the NBA finals, sitting behind the bench of a team and actually being gifted the tickets by a player on the team, is because I can't actually, even if I have a bunch of money, I can't go buy that. It's not available to buy. Somebody would actually have to want to give me those tickets. They would have to be in the championship series, in the finals, and they would have to know who I am and want to give me those tickets. I couldn't go buy them from that person. There's not enough money to buy it from that person, because there are all kinds of millionaires and billionaires that have season tickets to these things that they could outbid me if they wanted to. So it would have to be because this person decided that I was somebody they wanted to give the tickets to. But that would take the experience of season tickets to a whole new level. Does that make sense? So really, if you're running out of things like, I don't know, then take something. If you were to say, I want to go on a vacation to Spain. Okay, great. I'm going on vacation, you know, invited to go on vacation in Spain. And I've met someone who has their own private jet and they flew me over there and let me stay at their villa. And I was treated like,
Mm, wow. Okay.
see, wow, to see what just happened.
Yeah.
Wow. Because you're not thinking like that. Neither was I. Okay.
Mhm.
But that's what you want to do. You want to take the limits off of what's possible, and you want to trust that God and the universe can provide anything. And you want to have fun with this because,
Mhm.
again, you're not going to intently focus on all 300 things. You're going to write them down. You're going to read them to yourself morning and night. You're going to do that. You probably should go on forever. I should have went more. Okay, I'm just being honest. You probably keep going until everything on the list manifests. Okay, but I did it over and over for several things, and then kind of like I said, the seed was in the ground, and I let it go, and some of it just showed up. The
So I
thing,
have a follow-up. Sorry, go ahead.
oh, go,
No, I was just gonna say, so with the 300, when you say do it over and over again, does that mean that every night and, as many times a day, do I need to go through all the 300, or do I just need to take only the ones that I most want out
I
of the
would say, he
300?
says read the list. Okay, I don't say good. He just says read it. He didn't talk about this big visualization, and truly for 300, that would probably be a lot. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
yeah. But you can read the list and it would probably take you, if you think about, it's just a list of things and you don't have to have mega detail about it, but to read through it, it might take you 10 minutes a shot.
Hmm.
So you might want to do that in the morning and sometime in the afternoon, kind of, or an evening, I should say, or whatever. But what you want to do is enjoy this process. Don't make it a stressful thing for you. Ultimately, what I have people do after a 300 list is I say, great, now we're going to make a top 10 list out of that 300. Doesn't mean you don't care about any of the other 300. And then out of that top 10, we end up trying to figure out what's number one,
Hmm.
what's truly number one on that list, no matter how big or small that number one might be, because that's the thing that's most important to you. And chances are, if it's most important to you and it has been important to you for a while and you haven't received
Hmm.
it, that's what we need to go reprogram, or you're not going to receive it.
Right. Well, I tend to find myself, even though I have the list created, I haven't reached the 300, but what I tend to do is the certain part that I tend to repeat over and over again. And I don't know why I'm so drawn to that.
To which part?
Um, to this particular part that I'm drawn to, actually a
Okay.
couple of parts that I'm drawn to. One is the money aspect, not necessarily, building wealth,
Hmm.
finding ways to do that and
Okay.
growing my money that I have and my investments and
Okay.
opportunities in career. But also the other piece is the love piece.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
those are the pieces that I keep, like when I'm at night, when I'm resting at night and meditating, that's the piece that keeps just like
Uh-huh.
my whole body gets that warmth and just that
Awesome.
like really
Awesome.
strange feeling
Uh-huh.
about, like really excited and happy feeling.
Awesome.
And so I don't know why those two things keeps playing, like
Well,
I don't
because
know, maybe that's really what I want the
yeah,
most right now.
well, they're probably, if you were to do a top 10 list, they would be number 1 and 2 probably. But that doesn't mean you disregard the 300,
Right.
right? Because we can receive, like Steve Harvey said, I said, you know, I don't, if he said I dare you or whatever, but basically, and he's pretty right about that. He's like, you know, after a year, at least 10% of those things will probably happen. Well, you can't, if you think 300 and 10%, that's 30 things. You really can't focus on manifesting 30 things if you're reprogramming. But again, some things don't need to be reprogrammed. They just need to be asked for, because your subconscious isn't in opposition. And because you just plant the seed in the ground and you don't make the big fuss over it, your subconscious mind doesn't fight you back so much either necessarily. And I ended up with a car that I really like, but it's not the one. If I were to have made a list of 10 cars I want, that car would have showed up maybe 5th or 6th on the list. So it wouldn't have been my top one, but because I enjoyed it, planted the seed and let it go, I still received it.
Can I have,
Yeah.
can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
All right. I know you said the Law of Attraction book, but unfortunately I came in after that. Who's the author for the Law of Attraction book?
Which one?
That's what I don't know. What one are you recommending?
Oh,
Or
there's a lot. There's a lot of them.
I know, but is there a certain one that you prefer or?
Well, my favorite, if you're talking about wealth, okay, if you're talking about manifesting money and wealth in your life, the first book I would go for would be The Science of Getting Rich
Oh, okay. And
by
then,
Wallace Wattles.
okay,
The
I
one
did-
that somebody else was talking about was I'm Rich Beyond My Wildest Dreams. I am,
Okay.
I am, I am.
okay,
That's not one I'm going to take our group through.
okay.
That's one, when I originally gave the advice, it was someone specific that was in the group, but I'm like, hey, you know what, Takira, this is for you. You're all listening, so you all do whatever you want to do. Okay.
Okay.
But for her, I felt inspired at that time because of her personality and what she was asking for and what she needed. I knew there were certain things in that book that were going to resonate for her. But
Is it a specific Law of Attraction book that you would suggest? Just anyone?
I'm kind of taking us through. So I took us through The Science of Getting Rich first.
Mhm.
Okay. Then we did 2 things. They were just one day, one the other. It was right before Thanksgiving, so I didn't want to start a new one. So I came up with some material to go through for a couple days. Then we went into a book called Hidden Treasures. And the author is Leslie Householder. Now we're in a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. So those are, since November 5th till now, those are the things we've been in. Okay.
Okay.
And there's a purpose to it. The first book is it'll help you manifest things outside of money, but it is really designed for money. And it's predominantly designed, the first half of the book, so to speak, is designed to actually convince you that being rich is a good idea. And you're like, why would I need that? Trust me, if you don't have all that you want, then you need that. And if you have this attitude, well, I don't want to be really rich, I just want to be comfortable. Or, you know what, if you're judging anything that somebody else has, let's say a mega rich person has yachts and planes and all this stuff, you're like, oh, I would never do that. If you're saying anything negative about in relationship to money and wealth about anybody, even if you're not trying to be mean or anything, you're telling your subconscious, don't provide me with that.
Interesting.
So God, I'm not going to receive that, even if you want to give it to me. So you're actually shutting down your ability to receive as much as you want. So The Science of Getting Rich is designed for 2 purposes in my mind, and I've read that book probably 30, 40 times. Okay.
Wow.
It's a short read. If you listen to it as an audiobook, it's like 2 hours. Okay. So, and you read it, and literally you read it at the same pace. It's like, it would take 2 hours to read the book, essentially.
Very good.
Okay. Bob Proctor has read that book every day of his life and has created seminars and things around it for about, let's see, Science of Getting Rich, he's done it for 60 years, and it was 7 years into it. So 53 years he's read The Science of Getting Rich, some of it at least every day.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because he wants it to be who he is, not just intellectually know what it says.
Well, a lot of the very successful people read like incessantly every day. Okay. It's amazing they have the time to do it, but they do. Okay. Can you work on, I think the answer is yes, but can you work on more than one thing at a time? One visualization?
Yes. However, you will end up, it will take longer.
Okay.
Probably. Okay. Here's what I'll talk about our subconscious mind for a moment here. Okay. Our subconscious mind has many functions, but I'm just going to talk about one of them for the sake of this. The subconscious mind is designed to put things on autopilot. What's 3 times 9?
20, 3 times 9, 27,
4 times 6.
24.
Okay, I could keep going. What's 327 times 362?
It takes me a little while. I could figure it out.
You could, absolutely, because you've been taught the formula to do it, right? Or you have it, you could get the answer.
The others are kind of automaticity. Yeah,
yeah, because we went through it so many times, it got implanted into our subconscious, and that's why you were able. It only took us. I caught you off guard even because you didn't know what the heck I was asking you. Your subconscious mind only took a split second to know what I was asking, and you spit it out. It's like it's coming out of your mouth, and you're like, "What does this have to do with it?" Right?
Yeah.
Same thing. Tying your shoes, driving your car, all these things that you now do on autopilot. That's what our subconscious mind does for us. Okay. If we want something and we've been striving to receive it in our life, whether we've tried it through hard work and effort or whatever, prayer, if we've been trying to receive something into our life and it keeps eluding us, okay, or we get the opposite, I have a program in my subconscious mind that's in opposition to what I want. And it's like 3 times 9.
Yes.
It's like 6, right? It's like 6 times 4. It is that ingrained that it just, so the subconscious mind is meant to put things on autopilot, and it's meant to keep us safe and alive. But its definition isn't the same as a dictionary, right? Because it says, well, what will help, what is good for you is what is normal. But it means what is normal to you, not what's normal. So if a person is used to being abused and that's normal, subconscious says, well, that's safe. That's totally opposite of safe. But the subconscious doesn't know good, bad, right, or wrong. So it accepts that as, well, that's normal because you've been accepting it all this time. That's your program. That's why you keep walking in. I'm not saying you, but person walks into those situations constantly, relationships, bosses, coworkers that treat them that way because that's their program, right? So if I want to change that program, I need to convince my subconscious mind that something else is normal.
Can you
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Can you visualize for someone else?
You can visualize good for them. You can't make them do anything.
Okay. All right. Right. Okay. Now, I just want to say one thing. When I during this whole COVID thing, when it first started, I believe in mind over matter.
Cool.
Anyhow, I was up in the attic, right? And it just so happens that it was over the foyer, which in our house is about 20 feet high. Okay. And I was trying to be real good about just stepping on the beams, okay, and not in the middle. And guess who stepped in the middle? Okay. And I eventually called my husband. He said he wanted to take a picture because my behind was going through the hole. All right, well, be that as it may, I kept saying to myself, I don't want to fall. I don't want to fall, over and over again. And by all rights, I should have fallen. My husband said, I couldn't even hold on to you hardly because you were so sweaty because it was hot, right? He said, I don't know how you held on for so long. And I just want to say that mind over matter can work. I believe it can work.
Yeah. What would have been better is I'm totally balanced and crossing just fine or something to that effect.
Yeah, I know that wasn't the right way to phrase it, but at that moment I wasn't being exactly accurate. I was a little nervous, to say the least.
Yeah. So the one, a lot of reasons people want, of course we want more than one thing in our life, right? And the other thing is we have this thing in our programming, we call it FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Well, if I'm choosing this, that means I'm not choosing that. I would look at this differently. You are an eternal being. You're going to live on planet Earth in your body for X amount of time, but you're not going to poof out of existence. Okay, there's going to be another step of progression. Now, everybody has their own beliefs about that, and that's fine. We don't have to believe it the same way. As long as we believe that we don't just poof out of existence, that's good enough, okay? That we continue to progress. And if we look at this as our purpose for being here is to learn how to manifest what we want so we can create what we really want, and that it doesn't end with this life, we tend to chill out a little bit more. And we go, okay, God's given me tools here. I've got a subconscious mind, and I've also got God's help for revelation, intuition, right? And I have this energy, which we're all connected. Like I'm holding this glass of water right now, right? And there's air right here too. Well, is the glass of water connected to the air? Yeah, you just can't see it, but it's all the same energy. And so is my hand connected to the glass right now? Looks like it, right? They're both vibrating, but they're vibrating at a different rate, and so is the air around it. But since it's all energy, it's all connected. That's why when we put out a thought and it creates a feeling of vibration, it reverberates throughout the universe. Think of it as throwing the pebble into the pond, and it just keeps going until infinitude. It doesn't stop going, right? So we're putting that out there. And we receive, if we're open to it, we receive from God the intuition, revelation, inspiration to take actions in certain ways to receive what we want. And most of the work, though, is not being done by us. Most of the work is actually being done through us.
I agree.
Right?
Yes.
So picking something does not necessarily mean you're choosing not to have another thing. It's just saying, look, if I want to learn how to tie my shoes as a little kid, right? And I'm trying to teach you to tie your shoes, blow bubbles, chew gum, walk, tie shoes, do your math, and I'm trying to teach you how to do all of that, and I've only got one day to teach you. Are you going to master or even learn how to do any of those things probably in one day? Probably not.
Yeah.
But if we started at 8 in the morning and we had breaks and had fun, by the time the day is over, you might know how to tie your shoes. You may not have mastered it yet. It may take another week or two of doing it before you've truly mastered it and made it subconscious. But you can make it subconscious in 5 days, or you can make it subconscious in 5 years. How long do you want to take to make it subconscious? So that it takes over and you can now go do something else and have it be mastered. So the problem that we deal with in life is we got all these programs running in our subconscious mind, and we didn't choose most of those. They came in by default, but they're still the ones that are running our life. They run 95 to 97% of our life. So when we go, I want this, or I want to change that, or whatever, that's fine. If you struggle with it, it means there's a program in there that's in opposition to what you want. So again, we got to convince the subconscious mind that no, what you want is what's normal. Even if you don't have it yet, that is what is normal.
Mm-hmm.
And that normal will change over time too. Maybe an income, what's normal is now 500,000. And then later on it's 1 million. Then later on it's 2 million. Later on it's, 1 billion, whatever it is. I'm just throwing that out there because money's not really as important to this either. It's the lifestyle, and then God provides the way to live the life. That's what happened to me. And when I went through this process, this goes back 15 years, but I went from $5,000 to $6,000 a month. And in a period of under 3 months, I was averaging $50,000 a month. And I was working 50 to 60 hours a week originally, and my work week went down to 15. So I have 15 hours, 50,000 a month versus 60 hours, 5,000 a month. It was all just programming. It's what my subconscious believed was normal.
So people that have like a lot of things, just is that because their subconscious isn't fighting what they want in life?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And they become what we call unconscious competent. When you talk to them and ask them, how did you do what you do? They give you silly answers. I worked hard,
Yes, right.
right? Well, okay, so did I, right? I did, that it's the frame of mind that you're in and the programming you have while you're doing the thing that you do that will determine the success of it. If you're doing the same thing as another person, but their program is different than yours, you'll get different results, even if you're taking the same action.
Very interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, well, I went quite a bit longer today than we normally do, but you know what, it's fun. I'm glad you guys asked some great questions today. So I'm gonna let you guys go for now, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Yes.
Thanks, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're all
Thank you,
very welcome.
everybody.